Loving yourself first is not a cliché or a luxury. It is the foundation of every meaningful relationship you will ever have. When we talk about love, people often think of finding it in someone else, hoping another person will fill the emptiness within. But the truth is, the kind of love that lasts and uplifts must begin within. You cannot truly give or receive love if you have not first cultivated it inside your own heart. Self-love is not arrogance or selfishness. It is the quiet, steady act of valuing your own worth, honoring your emotions, and treating yourself with the same kindness and care you would offer to someone you love deeply. Many people seek relationships as a way to feel validated. They look to others to tell them they are enough, beautiful, or worthy. But this kind of love is fragile because it depends entirely on external approval. When the compliments stop, when the attention fades, or when someone withdraws their affection, that borrowed sense of worth disappears with it. That's why self-love is essential. When you already believe you are enough, you don't need to chase people who treat you poorly or settle for less than you deserve. You stop begging for crumbs because you know you are worthy of the whole feast. Loving yourself means knowing your needs and not being afraid to voice them. It means setting boundaries, saying no when necessary, and not shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. It also means forgiving yourself for your past mistakes, for the things you didn't know, for the moments you weren't at your best. Just as you would be gentle with someone you love when they stumble, self-love means extending that same grace inward. You don't demand perfection from yourself, but instead, offer patience and understanding as you grow. It's also about investing in your well-being. That includes your mental health, your physical health, and your dreams. It's about prioritizing rest, seeking joy, and doing things that make your soul come alive. When you care for yourself, you signal to the world how you expect to be treated. People learn from how you treat yourself. If you constantly tear yourself down, others may follow. But if you respect yourself, if you carry yourself with quiet confidence, you naturally attract people who reflect that back to you. Being clear about what you want is one of the most powerful and self-respecting acts you can commit to when it comes to finding love. Too often, people enter relationships without truly understanding their own needs, desires, or deal breakers. They compromise too soon or go along with whatever comes their way, hoping things will work out or that love will somehow make everything fall into place. But without clarity, you may find yourself entangled in situations that are confusing, unsatisfying, or even harmful. Love requires direction, it needs intention. It thrives best when two people know what they want and are walking in the same direction. Clarity begins with self-reflection. It's not just about listing superficial qualities like height, appearance, or income. It goes much deeper. What kind of relationship do you want? Do you want something casual or something long-term? What values matter most to you in a partner? Are you looking for emotional stability, shared goals, spiritual connection, or intellectual stimulation? These questions help you define your emotional blueprint and allow you to recognize compatibility beyond surface-level attraction. When you are unclear, you are more likely to ignore red flags, overlook misalignments, or fall into patterns that repeat old wounds. When you're clear, you don't waste time chasing relationships that aren't right for you. You don't settle for situationships that leave you guessing. You become more selective, not out of arrogance, but out of wisdom. You begin to see that love is not just about chemistry or passion. It's about partnership, communication, shared values, and mutual respect. Clarity saves you from the exhaustion of trying to make something work that was never meant to fit in the first place. It empowers you to walk away from what doesn't serve you, not because you're cold, but because you're committed to honoring your truth. Clarity also brings confidence. When you know what you want, you're less likely to tolerate ambiguity. You're not afraid to ask questions to define the relationship or to express your expectations. You don't play games or hide your intentions. This kind of directness may feel vulnerable, even scary, but it creates a foundation of honesty and trust. People who are right for you will appreciate that you know your heart. Those who are wrong for you will naturally fall away. And that is a blessing, not a loss. Being clear doesn't mean being rigid. It means being intentional. It's okay if your desires evolve over time, or if you learn new things about yourself through dating. The key is staying in touch with your inner voice and not abandoning your needs just to be chosen. Love built on confusion rarely leads to happiness. Love built on clarity creates space for real connection to grow. When you are sure of who you are and what you want, you begin to attract people who are also sure of themselves. You align with partners who are capable of building something real, not just playing a role. That alignment is what gives love its power and potential. Being open and vulnerable is one of the most courageous things you can do when searching for love. In a world that often rewards emotional detachment and celebrates playing it cool, choosing to show up with your heart exposed can feel risky, but true connection requires vulnerability. You cannot be truly loved unless you are truly seen, and you cannot be truly seen unless you are willing to reveal your authentic self, flaws, fears, and all. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is strength. It takes far more bravery to say, "This is who I really am," than it does to wear a mask and hope someone falls for the version of you that isn't real. When you allow yourself to be open, you invite deeper intimacy. You move beyond surface-level conversations and into spaces where emotional bonds are formed. You begin to share your past, your dreams, your wounds, and your hopes. That kind of honesty creates a foundation for trust. It gives another person the opportunity to say, "I see you, and I choose you anyway." That kind of love, the kind that accepts and embraces your real self, is the most healing love there is. But it can't happen if you're hiding behind walls built to protect you from pain. Many people avoid vulnerability because they're afraid of rejection. They believe that if they reveal too much, they will be judged or left. So they keep their guard up, suppressing their needs, pretending they're unaffected, or playing roles they think others want them to play. But the irony is that hiding doesn't actually protect you. It isolates you. It keeps you from experiencing the very connection you long for. Vulnerability does open the door to rejection, but it also opens the door to acceptance. Without taking that risk, you only ever experience love halfway. Being open also means being honest about where you are emotionally. It means admitting when you're scared, when you've been hurt, or when you're falling in love. It's being able to say, "I care about you," or "I'm not okay," or "this matters to me," even when those words feel uncomfortable. It's showing up without a script, without always knowing the outcome, and trusting that being real is more important than being perfect. The right person will not be scared away by your vulnerability. They will be drawn to it because it signals that you are human and emotionally available. Openness requires you to lower your defenses and stop trying to control every outcome. It's the willingness to let things unfold naturally and to be present in your experiences even when they stir up uncertainty. Vulnerability doesn't guarantee that things will always go the way you hope, but it does guarantee that you are living and loving fully. And when you live that way, bravely, authentically, you give love its best chance to grow. You allow the other person to bring their whole self to and together. You create a connection that is deep, meaningful, and real. Putting yourself in the path of connection means intentionally choosing to engage with the world in ways that invite relationships, experiences, and meaningful interactions into your life. Too often, people hope for love to arrive without ever stepping outside of their routines or comfort zones. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect person, or a sign from the universe. But love doesn't always knock on your door while you're sitting alone at home or scrolling through your phone in isolation. It often appears when you're out living, participating, and being present in the spaces where real human interaction takes place. Connection begins with showing up. That could mean saying yes to invitations, attending social events, or joining communities that reflect your values and interests. Whether it's a book club, a hiking group, a cooking class, or a volunteer organization, putting yourself in environments where people gather naturally increases the chance of meeting someone who resonates with you. You don't have to force anything or go on a desperate search. Instead, you create opportunities for connection to happen organically. By simply being where people are, you start to open doors that would otherwise remain closed. It also means embracing curiosity. Be open to conversations with strangers, even if they don't immediately seem like your type. Every interaction teaches you something about yourself, about others, or about what you're looking for. Love doesn't always arrive in the package you expect. Sometimes the most meaningful connections come from people who surprise you, challenge your assumptions, or bring out a side of you that's been waiting to be seen. But that can only happen if you're willing to engage and explore beyond the familiar. Putting yourself in the path of connection also involves being emotionally available. It's not just about physical presence, it's about energetic openness. If you carry around a guarded heart, if you assume every encounter will end in disappointment, you unconsciously send a message that you're not ready for closeness. Instead, when you bring warmth, eye contact, and authentic presence into your interactions, you create a welcoming space for others to connect with you. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room, you just have to be present and real. Additionally, embracing spontaneity and breaking routine can be powerful. Try a new cafe, attend a workshop, or travel alone. When you shift your environment, you also shift your perspective and energy. New experiences naturally draw new people into your life. The more fully you live, the more fully you attract others who are also living intentionally. Finding love is not always about effort. Sometimes it's about alignment. But alignment can't happen in isolation. You must be willing to participate in life, to explore, and to take small risks for the sake of connection. Even when it feels uncomfortable or unfamiliar, those are often the moments when something meaningful begins. Love isn't just found, it's created through the courage to be seen and the willingness to show up where love might be waiting. Being patient, not passive, is one of the most important distinctions to understand when searching for love. Patience is a form of quiet strength rooted in trust and self-worth. It's the understanding that meaningful connection takes time and that the right relationship cannot be rushed. It means allowing space for things to unfold naturally while still staying engaged in your life and your growth. Patience does not mean waiting endlessly in silence or doing nothing. It is active. It involves preparing yourself emotionally, mentally, and spiritually for the kind of love you desire, without settling for less or forcing something that isn't ready or right. Passivity, on the other hand, is a state of inaction that often stems from fear, frustration, or hopelessness. It looks like giving up control entirely, waiting for love to magically appear without any effort or change. It's staying in your comfort zone, not taking chances, and avoiding the vulnerability that real connection requires. When you're passive, you risk letting time pass you by while remaining stuck in the same patterns, feeling disconnected or unfulfilled. You may convince yourself that if it's meant to be, it will just happen, but that belief, taken to an extreme, can cause you to miss out on real opportunities. Being patient is about balance. It's about having the maturity to understand that love worth having doesn't come from impulsive decisions or chasing after the wrong people just to avoid being alone. It's knowing that your life doesn't pause while you wait. You keep moving, growing, exploring your interests, deepening your relationships with friends and family, and becoming the kind of partner you want to attract. You don't sit idly by, but rather live fully while keeping your heart open. That's the essence of patience, trusting the process while staying active in your own journey. It's also about setting standards and boundaries. When you are patient, you are less likely to tolerate unhealthy situations just because you fear being alone. You won't entertain relationships that don't align with your values simply to fill a void. You're not looking for a placeholder, You're holding space for something real. That takes courage and clarity. It means saying no to what isn't right, even if it leaves you temporarily lonely, because you believe in the deeper connection that you're waiting for. At the same time, patience requires emotional resilience. There may be seasons when it feels like nothing is happening, when it seems like everyone else is finding love but you. In those moments, it's easy to slip into despair or rush into something just for comfort. But true patience is knowing that timing matters. You trust that when you and the right person are both ready, truly ready, your paths will align. Until then, you keep showing up for yourself and your life. You remain open, but not desperate, hopeful, but not reckless. Patience doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing the right things while believing that what's meant for you is on its way. Learning from every relationship is one of the most valuable and empowering things you can do on your journey to finding love. No connection, no matter how brief or complicated, is ever wasted if you take the time to reflect and grow from it. Every relationship teaches you something about yourself, about what you want, about what you need, and about how you show up for others. Even the ones that end in heartbreak, confusion, or disappointment offer important lessons that shape your emotional maturity and prepare you for something better. The key is being willing to see those experiences not as failures, but as steps toward deeper self-awareness. Often, people carry bitterness from past relationships, feeling like they lost time or were wronged beyond repair. While it's normal to feel pain and grief, holding onto resentment keeps you stuck. Instead of replaying what went wrong or blaming the other person endlessly, try to ask yourself, what did I learn from this? What patterns did I notice in myself? Where did I abandon my own needs? Where did I grow? These questions shift your perspective from victimhood to responsibility, not in a way that blames you for the pain, but in a way that empowers you to heal and do better next time. Sometimes a relationship teaches you about boundaries. Maybe you realized you allowed someone to cross lines you weren't comfortable with. Sometimes it reveals what you truly value. Perhaps you thought a certain quality mattered most, only to find that emotional safety or mutual respect was far more important. Other times, a relationship shows you what love is not, and that clarity is equally powerful. Even the relationships that don't last forever can still be meaningful chapters in your life story, guiding you toward the kind of love that will. It's also important to reflect on your own role in the dynamic. What energy did you bring into the relationship? Were you honest about your needs? Did you communicate clearly, or did fear or pride get in the way? Growth comes from acknowledging not only what others did, but also how you responded. This kind of reflection isn't about self-blame, it's about self-growth. When you see your own part clearly, you gain the insight needed to change and improve. You stop repeating the same cycles and start creating healthier patterns. Every relationship, no matter the outcome, builds emotional resilience. It teaches you how to love more fully, how to recover more gracefully, and how to trust yourself again. The pain you once thought would break you often becomes the very thing that strengthens your heart. When you commit to learning from your experiences, you no longer fear love. You respect it. You approach it with wisdom, compassion, and a clearer sense of purpose. This mindset transforms your past into preparation and your wounds into wisdom. So, instead of wishing a relationship had never happened, you begin to see its place in your journey and use it as a stepping stone towards something deeper, healthier, and more aligned with who you truly are.